Hello, everyone. Today's expression is about love.
Love, love, love. All you need is love.
All you need is love. And this is
Just a Spanish phrase where we take a Spanish idiom and unpack it. Look at its origins, look at the context that you need to understand it, and also talk about how you can use it in everyday life.
And talking about love, you're going to love our parent podcast, which is called News in Slow Spanish.
Oh, I love what you did just there.
So News in Slow Spanish is pretty much where you can find all the expressions we talk about here in English. You find them in Spanish with their stories, their lessons, and full conversations in Spanish talking about those expressions. But
Enough about that.
Yes.
Now let's talk about love. Why love, Maria? What's the expression for today?
The expression for today is Amor con hambre no dura. How would you translate that?
Okay, so a direct translation would be love with hunger doesn't last.
Which, do you agree?
Oof. That's okay, we're jumping right in, and that's what we do in this podcast. We dive right in. You know, I'm not sure that I agree 100%. I get where this expression is coming from, and we're going to get into that a little more with the origin. You know, it's telling us that in times of scarcity, that's what the hunger in this case means. It represents scarcity, poverty, hardship. That in times of those challenges, of poverty and hardship and hunger, literal hunger, love kind of fades away or fails.
That's what it says, and that's probably what abuelitas used to say to ladies so they would marry rich guys, you know?
Once again, abuelitas. Yeah, that's where all the popular wisdom seems to come from.
You know, this expression makes me think of two interesting things. One is the complete opposite meaning of another expression we will talk about in a future podcast, which is contigo pan y cebolla, with you, bread and onions, which means like, I love you so much, I will endure whatever happens.
As long as I have your love, I'll survive on bread and onions
right?
alone.
So I guess...
Isn't it funny how you can find completely opposite expressions?
Oh, yeah,
like
of
that,
course. And we've
both
discussed that. I love that.
Contradictory, yeah.
But today's expression is telling you, hey, guys, if you're struggling financially, your marriage is going to end, which made me think of a fascinating documentary I watched last week called The Swedish Theory of Love, and how in the 60s and 70s, the Swedish government realized many families were together out of financial need. And they vowed to make every single citizen independent financially. So they said kids are going to be independent from their parents, elders are going to be independent from their kids. So it was pretty much social engineering geared to individuality, freedom, and financial freedom.
Wow, isn't that going against hundreds of years of like the village notion, the idea that you have
of course, and we are not an isolated being. Like humans are social beings. But here's the interesting thing. It's pretty much, the documentary is eerie because they talk about how at this point, I think it's 40% of the population lives alone. There's very little social networks. And there's even like a government branch devoted to finding those people who die alone and are found because of their smell to see what to do with their belongings.
Wait, so what we're saying is that in this opposite scenario where we've eliminated through social experiment the hunger that this expression talks about, that in this case actually love truly has faded. There's less love in the community.
It pretty much, it's what it says. You know, it says, and I asked a colleague who's from Sweden, is like, is that true? Is that? And he says, absolutely, this is a failed social experiment. According to him, I don't know, I've never been to Sweden, but to me that was fascinating how, I'm not saying you should stay in love because financial, but I wonder if challenges, including financial challenges, are the crazy glue that keeps couples together.
Oh, no doubt. Facing adversity brings people together, whether it's in a team setting Or in this case, a romantic setting, right? A couple. Yeah, facing things together. It gives you shared experience. It gives you the glue, like you said, like the memory of overcoming hardship. Now, of course, it's dangerous to generalize. Not every hardship is going to bring people together in a positive way. But yeah, I would say that every good, loving relationship has overcome challenges and hardship.
So I guess we're both agreeing to disagree with that sentence. Amor con hambre no dura. But
Okay, since we disagree with it, though, I think it's a good segue into looking at the origin. Okay?
please.
So I jumped into this, and, it's been around for a while. This expression, el amor con hambre no dura,
Love with hunger doesn't last.
yes, it seems to be at least 300 years old or so. And apparently it derives from a slightly longer expression that says, cuando la pobreza o el hambre entra por la puerta.
So when poverty or hunger enters through the door,
That's right. El amor salta por la ventana.
love jumps out the window. Okay.
Now, some people listening right now might recognize this construct, this phrase, because in English there is a comparable idiom. It is, perhaps not so popular. It's not in common use these days, but it has been said in English. When hunger is at the door, love is out the window. But even more common, a slight variation, when the wolf is at the door, love goes out the window. And in this case, the wolf is a synonym or a metaphor for that hunger, for that poverty. And it comes, this version, from an old German proverb. So picture 300, 400 years ago, in times of scarcity, the wolf, which, as you may know, was a very real problem. Real wolves were a real problem in much throughout Europe before they were hunted down and almost eradicated. And so the wolf being a really present metaphor of danger, of death in European communities, it was symbolizing hunger and poverty. So what it's saying here, I think it goes back to what your grandmother was telling you, that in times of scarcity, you need to find a couple, a partner that is going to support you financially.
Exactly. So maybe it's true that amor con hambre no dura, loves with hunger doesn't last. If you're not working together, let's say if somebody's being lazy and the other one is hardworking, or if somebody's being irresponsible and the other one is very organized. But I have another theory. I don't know about you, but I become very hangry.
Hangry?
When I'm hungry. So maybe that's why. If you want, my partner knows that every time I'm hungry, I need to eat first.
That's right. So that's a different expression. So, that's the quickest way to someone's heart is through the stomach?
Well, exactly. So if I'm hungry, I cannot be loving. So maybe that's the real meaning of this expression.
Yes. So I guess if there's a message that we need to leave our listeners with today is that, you keep your loved ones well-fed, whether that's literally well-fed or emotionally, intellectually.
Barriga llena, corazón contento.
That's right. I think we've done that one
We've
already.
done that one. You can check it out on another Just a Spanish Phrase episode.
Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Just a Spanish Phrase.
And we hope your belly is full and your heart is happy and your love is everlasting.
Everlasting.